Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, good afternoon. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So,
Yes, sir.
hello. Tanujum. ඔව් මම නම් දැන් දේශනයක ඉන්නේ 3න් පස්සේ යවන්න. ඔව්. බෑ ඒක දෙන්න බෑනේ. බෑ. ඔව්. මම හරි බං. hello.
I know, yeah. I'm a lady with the album. I don't try him.
Very sorry. I had a sudden telephone call. I'm sorry. So we are expecting to continue the lecture that we started last week. Yes. So now the lecture that we started was on the path of liberation. I think this I am trying to do very slowly because there are students from different traditions, and if you don't understand, please tell me. If you cannot hear properly, the Chinese, Vietnamese, I think Burmese students are more familiar, but other students from Vietnam or China or Mongolia, they can ask me if you don't understand. So now we were talking about path of liberation. So now I have two types of sources. One source is that the Buddha is talking about, now last week I told you, the Buddha is talking about one particular bhikkhu, one particular monk who is going to be enlightened, or simply the path of liberation of one particular monk. And there is another set of sutras, other sources, other sutras which talk about Buddha's realization. I have taken few sources here which are very important, and especially I am focusing on one particular sutra, that is Dvedha Vitaka Sutra of the second category. For the first category, there are many sutras actually. From these many sutras, we have the path is divergence. That is what we say. So that path presented is not just one, but there are many paths. But at least we need to understand in terms of a few sources, we need to understand how the Buddhist path is preserved in the Theravada tradition. Now, as I told you, now this path is very much the same in the Chinese sources as well. So the Chinese sources, even though they are slightly different in some of the context, they represent the same material, same path, with few slight changes. Now, at least comparing these 2 to 3 sources and understanding what they mean, because how the enlightenment is presented in early tradition, early Buddhist tradition, is important to understand. So again, I want to remind you the 2 categories of sources. First one is category 1 below, is the somebody's amongst enlightenment, Buddha describing monks, describing a layperson's enlightenment, and the second category is the Buddha's own attainment of realization, that is category 2. So now I am trying, so rather than describing minute materials, I have directly gone to the source and tried to explain how the path is liberated in most descriptive manner in the some of the sutras, and also in different sources, I would say different sources. Now there is something missing in your handouts. The missing part is the steps as recorded in the Samanya Pala Sutta in the Digha Nikaya. So here I noticed that this part is missing in your handout. So later on you can add that part. The steps as recorded in the Samanya Pala Sutta. What is the sutta here? What is the sutta here? Samanya Pala Sutta. Can you read it? Samanya Pala Sutta.
Samanya Pala Sutta.
Yes, others. Samanya Pala Sutta. This is Nya. Okay. Others, Samanya Pala Sutta.
Samanya Pala Sutta.
Yes, Samanya Pala Sutta. Samanya Pala Sutta. One of the long discourses. Very long discourses. Samanya Pala Sutta, very discourse one. And these sutras have the longest description. The longest description, I told you. Okay. So Samanya Pala Sutta is the Digha Nikaya second, and you know now Digha Nikaya is the the first section of the Sutra Pitaka, the canon, the Nikaya, the second Nikaya of the Sutra Pitaka, Digha Nikaya. The second sutra, Digha Nikaya 2, means the second sutra of the Digha Nikaya. Digha Nikaya 2 here means the second sutra of the Digha Nikaya. So it is very long, appearance of the Tathagata in the world, and household hears his teaching. So somewhere he meets the Buddha and he is listening to the Buddha. He is listening to the Buddha. And there is a very long description from there onwards, and the Buddha describes about the moral level. Now this moral level is very long. So if you look at Samanya Pala Sutta, I have now to have a look at, you will see he lives according to the moral restraint of Buddhist monastic rule. He lives guarding the senses, Indriya Samvara, being mindful and fully aware of all he does eating, drinking, urinating, so and so forth. He finds contempt in his life as a monk, and he retires as a secluded place to sit, practice meditation. So all this information is found in the discourses. And if you go to Samanyapala Sutta, here, this is Samanyapala Sutta, and this one is so the Samanyapala Sutta discourses as the Buddha's appearance. Your Majesty, it appears that Tathagata rises in the world. So that is how it, the number 40 here, the page number 99 says, Your Majesty, it happens that the Tathagata rises in the world, an Arahant, fully enlightened one. So Buddha is also an Arahant. Okay. According to Theravada, Buddha is an Arahant. Buddha is Arahant, and Arahants also Arahant. So Buddha is, they are in the same category. If you are enlightened, they are in the same category. Buddha endowed with wisdom and conduct, well farer, knower of the worlds, incomparable trainer of the men to be tamed. So that goes like that. This Dhamma is heard by household or householder's son. Now this teaching is not for anyone else, but it's not the Buddha's enlightenment, but it is someone else's enlightenment. Householder's son. So some lay person hears this doctrine delivered by the Buddha, a lay person. This Dhamma is heard by a householder or a householder's son or one reborn in some family or other. Having heard this Dhamma, he gains his faith in the Tathagata. He is confident in Tathagata. He gains his faith in Tathagata. Having gained this faith, he reflects the household is close and dusty. The homeless life is free as air. Now this is the first feeling of the person who you know who endeavors to follow this noble path. So the beginning is this thought. So you can read later. The household life is close and the dusty. The homeless life is free as air. So this is a very free life. Household life is close. It is very limited. But this life is free. It is not easy living the household life to live the fully perfect holy life. So he thinks that it is not easy to live this life as a lay person. This is not. So that is why he is also trying to become another monastic member. And it goes, and having gone forth, he dwells restrained by the restraint of rules. Now he lives according to the rules. Persisting in right behavior, seeing danger in the slightest faults, observing the communities like that. So that is the moral level. So this translation is a translation of the Digha Nikaya. Okay, so tremble for the welfare of all living beings. Thus he is accomplished in morality, that is moral level, accomplished in morality, abandoning the taking what is not given. These are very famous. He starts from here. Now this is where starting. He's not killing, taking what is he is. Thus he is morality, abandoning. So he's not doing. He's not killing. He's not stealing. He's not committing suicide. So these are very common. So these are the basic rules that he is adhered to. And then, sir, that monk who is preferred, perfected in moralities is no danger for any side owing to his being restrained by morality, just as duly anointed Khattiya king, having conquered his enemies, by that very fast sees no danger from any side. So the monk, on account of his morality, sees no danger anywhere. So he's like a king. When the king has destroyed all his enemies, does not see any danger. So he sees his morality and it is perfect and there is no any danger like that. So this is, I think, this sutra find like this, and you have to go to sutra and read it later on. So here, if we again go to our handout, he lived according to the moral restraint. So that likewise, like how we found in the translation, he lives guarding his senses, being mindful and fully aware of all he does, eating, drinking. So last week we learned the word for this one, iriyapatha. All the iriyapathas he know: eating, drinking, urinating, defecating, walking, standing, sitting, lying down. All these things we know that they are iriyapathas. They are different postures, different bodily postures, different way of existing, eating, drinking, urinating. So it's very, very careful about how he does these things. He makes sure that there is no anything wrong. He finds contentment in his life as a monk. He finds contentment in his life as a monk. And he retires to a secluded place to sit and practice meditation. So now his meditation is is not at the beginning. So meditation, before meditating, he should do many other preliminary things. So the moral dimension is very important. So that is morality. So there is another level, concentration level. He abandons 5 hindrances. These 5 hindrances, they are called hindrances because they hinder truth. They hinder truth. 5 hindrances. Hinder the truth. 5 hindrances hinder the truth. So that is why they are called 5 hindrances. 5 hindrances are 5 hindrances hinder the truth. So they are called 5 hindrances. Five hindrances: sensual desire, Kamachanda, Vyapada, sloth and torpor, Thinamidda, flurry and worry, Uddhacha, Kukucha, doubt, Vichikicha. So these 5 are very dangerous. So these 5 are the very reasons that you cannot progress in your moral path. They are vanished. And here the concentration develops. Actually, jhana is a higher level of concentration. It's a higher level of concentration. The more to come to a jhana level, you need to practice the samatha meditations. So basically it is based on samatha, that is concentration. You need an object of meditation and you meditate on that. So basically, samatha, these jhanas are results of meditating on a particular object, as most of the text describe. So there is a huge confusion about jhana actually. Now, one of the difficult thing is that now even today there is no clear description about how one come to realize truth after this jhana, because jhana has higher levels, and one of the big questions that we have in case of jhana is actually you are not in the normal conscious level. Whatever the jhana you have, according to these descriptions, whatever the jhana you have, you are not in your normal consciousness. You are in totally transcendental level. Okay. Now, what is not clearly pointed out is that okay, anyway, now you can understand that there are these successive jhanas, rupa form, and or absorptions. The jhana using the unshakable mental stability and purity established in the fourth jhana, he applies and directs his mind towards further. So now, normally there are these four jhanas. Actually, what is happening in the four jhanas is the mind becomes subtler and subtler. The mind becomes subtler and subtler, right? That is what is happening. The mind become acute. Mind become acute. Mind become very acute, very active. Mind become very active. The mind becomes very active, so therefore he is capable of visualizing, seeing what he could not see previously. So that is why this jhana is very necessary. The jhanas are very necessary. He directs his mind towards further meditative accomplishment. The mind becomes acute. Okay, so that we now from jhana, first jhana, patama jhana, second jhana, dutiya jhana, third jhana, tatiya jhana, and fourth jhana, chatutta jhana. So these four jhanas, if you can come to the fourth jhana, it is very powerful. It is very powerful. If the fourth jhana is possible, you can go to many other higher levels of wisdom, higher levels of cognition. You can, without these dhyanas, you cannot go to higher levels of knowledge. Now this is higher level. Only a person who can go to reach this dhyana level, who can reach to dhyana level. Okay, only those who can reach to this dhyana level can actually go to more higher knowledges, higher understandings. So these higher knowledge levels are called, sometimes they are called jnana dassana. They are called jnana dassana. Jnana dassana. Pali term is jnana dassana. Or sometimes they are called abhinya. Abhinya. Jnana Dassana or Abhinya. These higher knowledges are called Jnana Dassana, and Abhinya. You can penetrate into the reality, and also they are Abhinya. Abhinya itself means higher knowledges. Jnana Dassana is also knowing and seeing. The word Jnana Dassana means knowing. Jnana means knowing. Dassana means seeing. Okay, Jnana means knowing. Jnana means knowing. And Dassana means seeing. You know and see. You can truly see whether it is happening. For example, we talk about anicca. No, we talk about transience. We talk about things change, but we don't see it. So knowing and seeing are the part of both are part of knowledge. So sometimes you can know that, most of us know that, but we don't see that. So now last week I gave you an example. We know that for example, one good example is that we know that oxygen and hydrogen makes oxygen and hydrogen produces water. That we know and that we can understand. That we believe that science, but we can't see that, which means that we cannot actually see how oxygen oxygen and hydrogen formulate water. We don't see, but we know that, we believe in that, like that. So, but Buddha is admiring both knowing and seeing, jnana dassana, abhinya. Wisdom is what we call panya. Wisdom is what we call panya, insight. Any questions? So this is the same sutra. I am not continuing the sutra, but all these things are found in the sutra. Jnana dassana and knowing and seeing. Now when you have jnana dassana, now you have, you can know and see, because you have transcended the fourth jhana level. If you have transcended fourth jhana level, your capabilities are enormous. Because fourth jhana is a basis for many psychological skills. Okay, that is, your ability is enormous. So as soon as you reach to the fourth jhana level, your jnana dasana develop, your abhinya develops. So you can do this body of mind endowed with form. Now you can really see that. Now by seeing that, you may be disappointed, because when you see the true nature of body, actually there is a disappointment. Now the body that we see from outside is sometimes very lovely. We attach to that one. We attach to our own body. Sometimes if we can see inside how these different organs function and how they are interconnected and their actual nature within, sometimes we don't love that. But the body that we see outside, okay, the body that we see outside is the body that we attach to, not the inside body, the body inside. So anyway, now when we see, apart from that, how this body is actually, appears, body is formed due to psychological and physiological causes, then also we know the truth behind our sort of material body. Okay, so our attachment is reduced. We no longer attach to that body. This body of mine is endowed with form, composed of four primary elements, Chatum Mahabhutiko. sorry. So body and mind endowed with form composed of the four primary elements. Chatu Mahabhutiko, born from mother and father. Mata Pettika Sambhav, nourished with rice and porridge. Odanakumma Supachev, subjected to inconsistency, rubbing, pressing, dissolution, and dispersion. Anichuchadana, Parimadana, Vidhangsana, Dhammo. Okay, so all these things. And this consciousness of mind is supported here and bound up here. Idang cha pana me vinyanang etta sitang etta patibaddham. So he says that how the consciousness, we don't see our consciousness is attached to our body, right? But when you develop our body, and if we actually can see the kind of change that is taking place in the body, anicchu chadana bedana parimaddana bedana vidhangsana dhammo. So he actually sees what happens there. He actually sees what happens there, and also he sees that how the mind and body are interconnected. When this truth is revealed to you, when you understand this truth, actually, the result is that the attachment is gradually cease to disappear. So we don't know that truth. So what the people do is that they actually develop their cognition and visualize the actual nature of these bodily functions and all that. And they know the truth. And they realize that what our ignorance or our attachment to the body is a sort of erroneous attitude. Because of our erroneous attitude, we think is something meaningful. We think not only body, but also all other things, whatever that we make, that we consider to be valuable, what we consider to be meaningful, what we consider to be very precious. So that validity that we have on that cease to disappear. Ability to produce mind and body. And then another thing is that they can do is that they have varieties of skills. They can show varieties of skills, because now the fourth jhana is a very strong position. As I told you, that fourth jhana is a very strong position according to this one. If you have that fourth jhana, there are many things that you can do, because your mind is very acute, very powerful. So you can show manomaya iddhi, that you can produce lot of psychological images. Your mind can be used to show show others very miraculous things. You can transcend the physical laws even, right? When your mind is that acute. Various supernormal powers, iddhi-vidha jnana. Iddhi means miracles. Iddhi means miracle. Iddhi means miracle. So that kind of supernormal activities can be done. Becoming many, disappearing, passing through walls. Now we can't do that. But if you have that ability, you can do that. You can pass through walls, sinking into the earth like in water. So these are supernormal powers. And then you have what we call divine eye. You have the divine ear. You can listen to others. Knowledge of others' mind. Cheto pariyajnana. Now we cannot listen to others' mind. But if you have that, the ability to listen to others' mind, look at that. So how do you listen to others' mind? Because there is a movement in mind. When you think, there is a movement, there is a vibration. We call it vibration. The capable, this devoted, psychologically when you are very strong, when you are psychologically very strong, you can read others' mind, because you can get the vibration. Knowledge of his previous life. Hubbe Nivasanussati Jnana. These are different knowledges that he can have. Now, actually, this is very necessary. This is very necessary for the for someone to become actually be enlightened. If you want to become a Buddha, okay, if somebody wants to become a Buddha, you can't be a Buddha without this knowledge. Pubbe nivasanusati jnana. You can't become a Buddha without Pubbe nivasanusati jnana, because that is the ability to see the previous life. Sometimes it is called retrocognition. Sometimes we have seen the word is used for this one is retrocognition. Retrocognition. Retro means backwards. Retrocognition is you are cognizing backwards. Retro. You can see your own previous, not others. You can visualize. You can actually, it is a memorizing. You can memorize your own previous births, previous lives, your own previous lives. Knowledge of his previous. His means one's own previous lives. The knowledge of birth and death of beings in accordance with their action. Dibba Chakkunyan. The 20th one is knowledge of destruction of defilements. These three are essential. What are the three essential? Pubbe nivasanusati jnana. The second one, Dibba Chakku jnana. The third one, Asavakkaya jnana. Again, Pubbe nivasanusati jnana, Dibba Chakku jnana, and Asavakkaya jnana. Okay, these three knowledges sometimes are called, they are introduced in a different name. These three together are called Tevijja, Tivijja, Tevijja. They are called Tevijja. Tevijja means three higher knowledges, three higher knowledges. Tevijja. Te means here three. Te means come from T. T means three. Vidya means knowledges, not just ordinary knowledge, but very super human knowledge. That is called abhinya. Here you have seen they are part of abhinya, wisdom, higher knowledge. Okay. So now these three are essential because if you don't see the enormous, the existence of life, continuous existence of life, Pubbe Nivasanusati Jnana, you don't understand the real suffering. Because real suffering can be understood only when you see the suffering goes again and again and again. It continues across lives, from this life to another, and from this life to another, so on and so forth. So it continues across lifespans. So you see the danger of birth. You see the danger of, accumulating karmic forces. The more you accumulate karmic forces, the more you are subjected to the cycle of birth, decay, and death. So the Pubbe Nivasanusati Jnana is essential. And then what about Dibba Chakku? Dibba Chakku is the way how you know about the fruition of karma. Dibba Chakku is the way how you know fruition of karma. Okay? Dibba Chakku reveals you, explains you how the fruition of karma, because when you have Dibba Chakku, you can see the death of, visualize how the beings die and what happens to them. And the developed mind can see how they are getting a fresh birth, how the beings dead get a fresh birth. So that is what is called Dibba Chakku Jnana. So this the occurrences between happenings during or between the death and death and fresh birth according to karma, the ability to see that is called Dibba Chakku Jnana. And the last one is Asavakkaya. Asava means tendencies. The tendencies, the forces, psychological forces, for unwholesome psychological forces, asava. Ka means you remove them, eradicate them, destroy them. Ka. Kaya is the same. Asava kaya. Jnana, the knowledge related to the removal, the destruction of psychological, unwholesome psychological forces, unwholesome psychological tendencies. Not just tendencies, but unwholesome psychological tendencies. Asavakkaya jnana, asavakkaya jnana, unwholesome psychological tendencies. Okay, any questions? So again, I highlight these last three are very crucial. They are essential for someone to become enlightened, in the sense that one to become a Buddha. Without them, there is no enlightenment, because he doesn't know clearly the suffering. To understand suffering, definitely you have to have these two knowledges, especially the first one and the second one, and the third one is necessarily you get. You understand? Is it okay? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. We are clear.
Anyone who doesn't understand this? Everybody understand? Any questions? Okay, right. So, yeah. Now that is how it is. So you need these sort of skills, psychological skills to become, according to these sutras. According to these sutras, that is how the enlightenment is explained. Enlightenment is explained in these sutras. Okay, the divergence, but this is not the only way that is. There are many different other ways of becoming enlightened. So there are very differences in the way how the dhyanas are explained, the moral path is explained, the divergence is explained, the moral path is explained. There are many variations, lot of divergence, lot of differences from one sutra to another. That is what we need to highlight. So different sutras are different in their presentation of the path. So divergence. So we don't know. We actually don't know what is the. So it is possible that when we can ride the bike, right? When we can ride the bike, okay. So we learn to ride the bike. We learn to ride the bike in a particular way. But when we know it superbly, when we are familiar with all types of balancing of the bike, and then you can start riding bicycle in any form, anyway, in many different ways. Probably you can ride on the seat, you can ride on the bar, you can ride on the luggage, or you can stand on the pedals. You can stand on the handle also, right? So now the one who is enlightened, and who is well aware of what is the kind of process, or the one who experiences Nibbana can show us different path of Nibbana. So it's very natural. So according to my explanation, there could be many ways that one can ride a bicycle. Okay, ride a bicycle. So now I can remember when I was a lay boy, The way how I learned to ride a foot bicycle. I was not tall enough to sit upon the frame, but what I did was that I inserted my right leg through the bars, through the what we call triangular bars, triangular shaped bars, and then stood up on the pedals and that is how, and then balanced the bike afterwards, and then that is how I started riding the bike those days. So many children during that time, those days, learned the same way. But later on, we can sit on the bar, and later on we can sit on the seat, and later on we can sit even on the luggage, and even someone may be able to sit on the handle, as I told you. So like this, there could be many ways. There could be many ways that one can propose for the enlightenment. Now there are few sutras, the Pottapada Sutra, Digha Nikaya 9, small differences. The attainment of 4 form of dhyana is mentioned in place of item 13 and 20. So replacement, I am not going to explain these things, but you can see. Further, the attainment of 3 formless meditations, arupya, followed by the progressive attainment of final cessation of perception of one who are. Now sometimes, look at this one. Now instead of talking about 4 jhanas, further, attainment of first 3 formless meditation, attainment of 4th formless meditation, arupya jhana. It doesn't talk about, right? It doesn't talk about the jhanas that we discussed earlier. What are the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana? There are other types of jhana. This first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, they are called form jhanas. They are called form jhanas. Now there is another set of jhanas called formless jhanas. Formless jhanas. What are the formless jhanas? In the formless jhanas, look at this, formless meditation. So formless jhanas, there is no any material thing. There is no any material thing involved. Now see, now if you concentrate in body, if you concentrate on body, if you concentrate on respiration, the breath, if you concentration on breath, and then that is form, because you have the experience of matter, and you have the experience of matter. But if you don't have that, in the absorption, in the trances, then that is arupya. So there are 4 arupa jhanas. They are mentioned in different name, but normally we have 4 arupa jhanas, formless jhanas. But now here, this is a huge difference. First, the sutra talks about attainment of 3 formless meditation, not form meditation, but formless meditation. Arupya jhana, followed by the progressive attainment of final cessation of perception. Final cessation of perception of one who is aware of anu, pubbabhi nirodha, sampajanya samapatti, elsewhere mentioned as the cessation of perception and feeling. Now sometimes in the sutras, this specific state of mind, this stage, this jhanic stage called anupubbabhi nirodha sampajanya samapatti. Anupubbabhi nirodha sampajanya samapatti. It is a jhanic state. It is also another absorption, or sometimes called trances. Okay, trances. Oh, sorry. Wait a moment. Okay, so this is a very long word. Anupubbabi nirodha sampajanya samapatti. Anupubbabi nirodha sama. Nirodha means cessation. Here there is a very interesting. Anupubba means gradual. Anupubba. And there is another word called nirodha, abhinirodha. Abhinirodha means complete cessation. Sampajanya samapatti. Sampajanya means awareness, knowledge. Sampajaya, the knowledge, knowing. Sampajanya means your awareness. Your awareness is totally discarded. It is a psychological state that totally discard or your awareness is totally suspended in this meditation. So therefore it is called cessation of perception and feeling. Now one of the technical terms of that kind of conscious state is called cessation of perception and feeling. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha is equal to Anupubbabi Nirodha. Anupubbabi Nirodha Sampajanya Samapatti. Anupubbabi Nirodha Sampajanya Samapatti is equal with Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Now here, this is a reality. Now Buddhist teachings, Buddhist doctrines teach us. When you come to the four jhanas, Patama jhana, Dvitiya jhana, Tritiya jhana, and even fourth jhana are material. Your concentration is on something material, body or something external. You can transcend it and you can come to what we call not formless state. Formless state. And if the Buddha has taught us another state, very new state actually, where you transcend, totally transcend even the formless level. Formless level. Most of the Indian ascetic thoughts, almost all the Indian ascetics thought that the highest level of meditation is the highest level of arupa thought. Arupa, formless. But in Buddhist texts, there is a situation where you can transcend even the arupa level, formless level, and that is called Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. But here, very strange. Now, basically, we have four immaterial jhanas, formless jhanas. But here, only the sutra talks about the first three arupa jhanas as such, and then it goes to what we call Anupubbabi Nirodha Samapatti, Samapatti, Sampajjana Samapatti. Or later, which are called Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Okay, like that. Now, this sutra is sometimes, there are many sutras that this talks about. Actually, when you have Sanya and Vedana, now cessation of Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, Sanya Vedaita means, Sanya means perception. Vedaita means Vedana. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, your perception and feeling. Basically, these two are there whenever, whatever you do, whenever you are, these are there. But if Sanya and Vedana are gone, Sanya and Vedana are gone, then your body becomes totally, very much like a dead body. Very much like a dead body, and you don't hear anything. You don't hear, you don't see. The senses are dysfunctioning. The senses are dysfunctioning. They are not working. They are not working because you have discarded what we call Sanya and Vedana. Sanya and Vedana. So that is why it's called Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. You have discarded. Your senses are not properly, Vedana and feeling are totally stopped. Okay, so that level is another level, because if you, this is actually not Nibbana. Anupubbabi Nirodha Sampajanya Samapatti is not Nibbana, but when you reach to that level, you come out of that state as an Arahant. Because anyone who is capable of attaining that state becomes an Arahant immediately after he awakes from that stage. And it is said that only Anagami, so on, the one who is in the third level, third noble level, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, the third level is called Anagami. So only an Anagamin can reach to Sanya Vedaiti Nirodha, no other person, because you need to have a very lot of restraint, lot of sensuous control to go to such a deeper level. A lot of potential, lot of capacity should be there with your mind to come to that stage. So you can live. Okay, so that is what how this meditation is described. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Okay, so like that. So another sutta, if you read in the Tevijja Sutta, in other sutras you don't find this talking about Metta, Mudita, Karuna, Upekka, but in the Tevijja Sutta, they are also added. After 8 above, abandoning 5 hindrances, the practice of 4 immeasurables. 4 immeasurables, Metta, Mudita, Karuna, Upekka, another way. The 4 immeasurables are called immeasurables because unlimitedly you can pervade Metta, Karuna, Mudita and Upekka. You can pervade to immeasurable number of beings. There is no limit of the number of whom you can pervade this Metta, Mudita, Karuna and Upekha. So that is what we call immeasurables. Okay, so actually there, instead of dhyana, it talks about metta, mudita, karuna, and upekka. Now look at these sutras. If you need to see the sutras and understand this content, what it means, so that there are differences. Here also the 4 immeasurables do not mark the end of the path of union with Brahma. Here also 4 immeasurables do not mark the end, but the end of the path of union with Brahman. But what is interesting is here in this sutta, in the Tevijja Sutta, it talks about a different kind of end. It presents you a different kind of end. The end is not the enlightenment, and it is not the enlightenment, but end of the path of union with Brahman. So when you develop, so that is a different thing. So it doesn't talk about enlightenment, but it highlights the mark. Okay, it's the 4 immeasurables. That is, the end is not the enlightenment, but union with Brahma. The union with Brahma, because these are called Brahma Viharas. So when you develop them, you can unite with Brahma. Brahma is supreme state, supreme conscious state, like that. Differences, right? Many types of differences are there. Lot of differences. Now these sutras are very long. Now the Digha Nikaya sutras are very long. Therefore, even the path of liberation has been described very long. Has been described very long. Majjhima Nikaya discourses are shorter. That is why they are called Majjhima Nikaya. Majjhima Nikaya discourses are shorter, so therefore they are called Majjhima Nikaya. Now here, this is shorter. Now most of the items in the Digha Nikaya are not found. Most of the items of the Digha Nikaya are not found. The presentation of the scheme is generally briefer. The Sila section is much reduced. Yeah, now in the Digha Nikaya, it is only this Digha Nikaya Sutra, the Sila section is very long. It talks about various things, about professions and other kinds of means of knowledge. So that's a very lengthy, so very long kind of introduction. So, but when it comes to middle length discourses, in the Majjhima Nikaya discourses, we call the middle length discourses, middle length sutras or middle length discourses. Okay, when when it comes to Majjhima Nikaya sutras, the first part is shorter. 3 to 6 is very short. Items 13 to 17 are missing to replace them with the knowledge after dhyana. Knowledges after dhyana. What you have to do is take one of these sutras. I have given a few sutras. Most of the Majjhima Nikaya sutras, you can select one sutra. And I have given a few sutras here. Items 13 to 17 are missing to replace them with three knowledges after dhyana. So three knowledges, I told you these three knowledges, te vijja, are essential for enlightenment. For someone to become enlightened, these three knowledges are essential. What are the three knowledges? Pubbe nivasa anussati, dibba chakku, asavakkaya. Can you tell me? Can you repeat? Pubbe nivasa anussati. Can you repeat?
Nivasa Nausti,
Yes.
Bachaku,
Dibba chakku,
Just
Athavakaya.
Stavakaya.
they are three. These are called three knowledges. These are called three knowledges. Okay, so three knowledges are taken into account. Three knowledges, three of previous lives, the knowledge of death and birth of beings, and the knowledge of destruction of defilements, asavakkaya. So this is the cause in the situation of many of the Majjhima Nikaya sutras. Many of the Majjhima Nikaya sutras. I have mentioned another sutra, Danta Bhumi Sutra. Danta Bhumi Sutra. That is Majjhima Nikaya 125 of the translation. Majjhima Nikaya 125. So you can find in the library everywhere. Majjhima Nikaya, Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya. Okay, original sutras you can find. In the library you find them. What you need to do is to select these sutras and read. What is the difference? Dantabhumi Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya inserts additional items into the middle of the scheme. There is an addition. While Maha Tanha Sankhya Sutta replaces the item 30 to 20 that follow the dhyanas with distinctive account of the final cessation of unskilled status based on mindfulness of body and cessation of the links of dependent origination. That is another one. So Dantabhumi Sutra is another scheme. If you closely observe, the Mahasankhya Sutta. Mahasankhya Sutta replaces the item 13 to 20. If you go 13 to 20, what are the 13 of 20? 13 to 20. Okay, this one, 13. 13 to 16 or 13 to 20. Here 13. 13 to 20. sorry, this one, 13 to 20, knowledges of destruction, of defilements, asavakkaya jnana. So that part is missing there. So it's, isn't it so? So this Mahatanha Sankaya Sutta replaces the item 13 to 20 that follow the dhyana with distinctive account of final ceasing of the unskilled states based on mindfulness of the body and the cessation of the links of dependent origination. So there, the focus is on mindfulness of body and the cessation of the links of dependent origination. And that is Mahatang Sanha Sankhaya Sutta, the Majjhima Nikaya 38. And then said, formless jhanas followed by Cheto Vimutti in the Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta. Formless jhanas followed by Cheto Vimutti in the Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta. Again, it mentions the Majjhima Nikaya Di Sutra also talks about cessation of perception and feeling subsequent to the attainment of form jhana and formless jhana. Now, previously we also saw the attainment of cessation of perception and feeling, that is Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. This one is Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Okay. So there, the Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, it should be Sanya. There, Sanya Vedaita Nirodha is explained subsequent to the attainment of jhanas, form jhanas and formless jhanas. Previously we saw this one is explained after three formless jhanas, first three formless jhanas. But now it is different. Now it is the gradual, all the form and formless jhanas are given, and afterwards form jhanas are and formless jhanas are formless and form jhanas and formless jhanas are indicated, and thereafter the cessation of perception and feeling is given. So there are many paths. The attainment of perception and feeling is considered to be the highest level of contemplation unique to Buddhist practitioners and was considered to be freedom of mind. The attainment of perception and feeling the attainment of perception and feeling is considered to be the highest level of contemplation unique to Buddhist practitioners and was considered to freedom of mind. Okay, so that is the highest level. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha is the highest level. There is no any other level. Beyond Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, there is no another level, because totally at this level, your Sanya, the ability to know, and Vedaita, the feelings is gone. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, Vedaita are gone. Feeling and perception are gone. So there is no any other highest form of meditation in any tradition. Okay. So the process goes: formless jhana, arupa jhana, base of infinite space, akasanan chayatana, vinyanan chayatana, akinchan chayatana, neva sanya, na sanyayatana. So that is how the gradual process. Now these are formless jhanas. Akasananchayatana. Akasananchayatana. Vinyananchayatana. Akinchanyayatana. And neva sanya, na sanyayatana. Again, yeah. Yeah, who can pronounce these words? Is there anyone who can correctly pronounce them? Someone who is not from Myanmar, China or Vietnam, outside Myanmar or Sri Lanka. Yes, can you pronounce? Or any other country?
Akasanchayatana.
Akasananchayatana. Okay, good attempt. Yes. Second one.
Vinyanachayatana.
Vinyananchayatana. Yes. This one. Akinchanyayatana. Neva sanya na sanyayatana. It's called neither perception nor non-perception. Very little amount of sanya, and then again falling to a state where there is no sanya. Sanya, non-sanya, like that. But this level also can be reduced, transcended. This level also can be translated. Akasanam chayatana, vinyanam chayatana, akinchanyayatana. The last one is neva sanya, na sanyayatana. And after that one, sanya vedaita nirodha. Sanya vedaita nirodha. So here you can write sanya vedaita nirodha. You have to compare, and it is interesting, very interesting to look at these sutras. And the sutras occur actually in a story that is called Akhyana, or so the highest jhana is, there is a question. So the highest jhana is not Nibbana, of course. No. Highest jhana is, according to this one, is not Nibbana. It's not Nibbana, of course, but the Anagami can attain it. And after coming out of, so the highest jhana is not Nibbana, of course, but the Anagami can attain it, yes. And after coming out of the immediate attain Arhanship, yes. But the Anagami has attained Nibbana already before, like Sotapanna. Anagami, now everybody has realized Nibbana to some extent. Sotapanna even has, but their unwholesome tendencies are stronger. Sakadagami has experienced Nibbana. Do you know how it happens? Because as a practitioner, I will tell you, if somebody actually listen to the teaching, the true listener, if you are a noble person, then their mind becomes sort of very concentrated, and they reach to a level where their mind become actually fully committed to, fully aligned with the teaching, the sermon, and they suddenly actually they feel something, some kind of spiritual experience. So this sort of experience, with that sort of experience where your seven what we call factors of enlightenment, Sapta Bojjhanga, are equally developed at a sermon, you become a noble person. Okay, forget about this one. Now if we were start that, if you reach to Sakadagami level, there is a level that you can experience Nibbana. And if you come to Sotapanna level, there is a way that you can experience Nibbana, but it is limited. So is with Sakadagami. So is with Anagami. Anagami is not an Arhat, but his cankers, his unwholesome psychological forces are very, very less strong. Okay, less strong. So his mind is very advanced, but not an Arhat, but capable enough to go to that Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Because I think now to go to Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, you need a very strong kind of control of mind, or very strong what we call very strong how should I put it? The nature of mind. Your mind should be so acute, so acute and so restrained, so restrained, and then only you are capable of reaching to a level like Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, because your mind needs a very subtle kind of restraint. That is I think is the secret. Only they can, but coming out of jhana, their consciousness become smooth, I think, smoother. The consciousness becomes that acute, so acute, the consciousness becomes so acute that their mind, their consciousness cannot retain any unwholesome tendencies, because already he is an anagami before what we call enlightenment. Before Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, he is already an anagami, and his mind is already very acute. Mind is very restrained. So he can reach to that level. He can reach to Sanya Vedaita Nirodha level by meditation, by samatha and vipassana in a particular way. And at that level, his mind become more, like smoother to the level, to the extent that he cannot retain any unwholesome psychological factor. So that is why he becomes an arahant. He becomes an arahant immediately after coming out of that. Any idea about this? Yeah, maybe complex, but maybe you can have some idea about what is happening actually. The probable, the probability, not actually the probability. So variations are there. So it's my example is what you have to consider. My example is that yes, there are different, because when you fully experience something, you can explain it in many ways. There are many ways that you can explain something, right? You can explain in many ways. A building can be explained in many ways. In many ways, it can be explained aesthetically. It can be explained its cost. It can be explained in relation to its engineering. The same building can be sort of explained into the kind of motivation behind that. So there are many ways, right? There are many ways that you can describe one particular thing. So in the same way, one who is fully enlightened and knows everything about enlightenment, no secrets about enlightenment, of course. Yes, so so what I want to say is that it is explainable in many ways. So when you are confirmed, the experienced person, one who truly experienced Nibbana and confident in that, can explain it in many ways. Formless jhanas followed by Cheto Vimutti in the Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta. Cheto Vimutti. Again, another description. Formless jhanas followed by Cheto Vimutti. There are two Vimuttis called Cheto Vimutti and Panya Vimutti. Describes attainment of cessation. Attainment of cessation of perception and feeling. Attainment of cessation of perception and feeling subsequent to the attainment of jhana and form and formless jhanas. There also you find. So this is very famous, right? This Sanya Vedaita Nirodha thing is very famous in Buddhist literature. Probably because most of the Arahants, now it is because of this one. Now we have these two types of freedom. Now two types of freedoms. Two types of freedom. One is Cheto Vimutti. Cheto Vimutti. The other one is, the second one is Panya Vimutti. Panya Vimutti. We have two kind of freedom. Cheto Vimutti. Read it loudly. Cheto Vimutti. Cheto Vimutti.
Cheto
Can you read it?
Vimutti.
Cheto Vimutti. Others? Cheto Vimutti.
Chetu Vimutti.
This one Panya Vimutti.
Vimutti.
Panya Vimutti.
Vimutti.
Yeah. Cheto Vimutti is totally a result of the development of concentration. That is the liberation through mind. So liberation through mind. This one calls liberation through mind. Liberation through mind. And liberation, this one is liberation through Panya, wisdom. Liberation through wisdom. Cheto Vimutti, Panya Vimutti, liberation through wisdom. So now, Cheto Vimutti, how does this happen? Totally the concentration. Development of concentration. Concentration. The development of concentration. Form jhanas. Form jhanas. Form jhanas. Formless jhanas. Formless jhanas and Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. I will write in short. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. Cessation of perception and feeling. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. So that is by concentration. So Buddha saw after the enlightenment, Buddha saw a method by which, according to Buddhism, the concentration itself cannot lead to the freedom. So you have to combine both the wisdom and concentration. But Buddha later on showed the path that you can release your mind by concentration. But this is only for anagamis, not for others. That is the important thing. This is for the anagami. This is for the anagami. Not for the sotapanna, not for the saputagami, but for the anagami. First you develop concentration and then you go to from that you can, but that is only the Buddhist text explained that. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. So you can, from the formless jhanas, the last one, from the last Sanya Vedaita Nirodha, you shift to, you move to, you jump to what we call Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. You totally suspend peace, perception and feeling. So you are very much like a dead body. You are very much like a dead body and your respiration stops. Your respiration stops. You are not breathing. You are not breathing and your body is also, body looks like very much like a dead body. And if now there are some of the sutras that a lightning struck when the Buddha was meditating near a paddy field under a tree. That very tree was struck by lightning, and the Buddha didn't hear because he was in deep concentration, and everybody died. The bulls died and the farmers died because of lightning. But the Buddha was calmly meditating because he never heard any sound. There was no any confusion. There is no any shock. So it's a very deeper level of concentration. So you can reach to that level only. You can develop higher level of concentration. Yes, Thomas. Yeah, you have a question. You have hand raised.
Yes. Thank you, Sampia. About this Chetu Vimutti and Pinya Vimutti.
Yeah.
I've heard, and you also talked about it, there's two ways to come to Nibbana. Chetu Vimutti and Pinya Vimutti. And so
yeah.
I've heard that some people do not need the Chetu Vimutti too much. They just can jump straight away to Pinya.
Right.
With a little bit of samatha, they can straight away go
That
to
is true.
Pinya and attain
That is
Nibbana.
true. That is true, because that is, I think that is, I think this shows you the perfect way, because perfect way means, I mean, now we call fully enlightened one, Samma Sambuddha, or some of the Arahant who are fully now they are very skillful Arahants, like these great disciples of the Buddha. So these kind of special the Arahants who had a very cognitive power, super cognitive power, not as same as the Buddha, but some sort of higher cognitive power, who could reach to these jhana levels, they could actually come to this higher level of concentration, and thereby see the things like, say, the previous lives, the retrocognition, the perceiving or memorizing the previous births, and hearing the sounds of others, and also showing a lot of miracles by the power of mind. So that was the outcome of the fourth jhana, the higher level of jhana. But that is not essential. You can directly go to some level of, yes, that is true. There should be some form of jhana, and you directly develop panya. And this also can be explained in many different ways. So, for instance, if you if you stop what we call conceptualization, with amount of concentration, actually you can realize nibbana without any of these jhanic experience. So like that. So that he is Thomas is correct. So you don't need that sort of, but you need some amount of concentration. It could be a first jhana level, or a concentration which is very closer to a jhana level, because actually the jhana is important, because this jhana gives you this concentration gives you a more thorough understanding. For example, if you I think their understanding is very acute. The people who develop this concentration better understand truth. For example, if you concentrate on truth, the ordinary concentration is very much like thinking. You just think. But if you concentrate, if you develop your concentration and then come to focus your attention on suffering, and then you actually broadly, profoundly see that, understand that it is felt seriously, it is known seriously. So that is why concentration is not necessary. Concentration gives you a very huge amount of spiritual kind of shock, awakening, I would say awakening, rather than mere concentration, mere normal concentration on something. That is the difference. That is why we need a higher level of jhana, Otherwise, it is not essential. Higher level of jhana can give you, can generate for you other skills. Like if you don't have these higher knowledges, you can't actually truly realize, truly visualize some of the truth. For example, if you don't have fourth jhana, you are not capable of having Pubbē Nivāsānussati like that. Yeah. So Panya Vimutti is liberation through wisdom. Now this is most of the arahants of the, not most of the disciples of the Buddha opted like this process, because most of his disciples could not do these kind of things, could not develop samatha, deeper samatha meditations, deeper form jhanas, formless jhanas. So they could not do that. They were not capable. So most of the monks liberated through Panya Vimukti. But even this is possible. Okay, now the Sanya Vedaita Nirodha is possible. The Cheto Vimukti, probably, I don't think that anybody cannot, first he has to come to the Anagami level. Or Cheto Vimutti was like a kind of this Cheto Vimutti was practiced merely for a spiritual experience only, I think, because when the monks, the capable monks, already realized Nibbana, sometimes were interested in experience this Sanya Vedaita type of meditative experience. They wanted to reach to those level and experience them. So later on they did that, as they had this cognitive power, the ability to train their mind, ability to reach to the jhana levels. They also surpassed the formless jhana level and experienced what we call Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. So that was actually Arahant's kind of Arahant's very much like, I think, as according to the when we look at these sutras, it was Arahant's attempt, interest to experience such a jhanic experience. Otherwise, without becoming an anagami, you cannot go to that level. So most of the time, it could be arahants who experience this level, because they have already surpassed, transcended, surpassed the anagami level. So like that. But that is a possibility. But you can release your mind from Cheto Vimutti also. But there is possibility for you to free your mind from Panya Vimutti also. Okay, so is it clear to you? These are not difficult things anyway. Anyone who doesn't understand? Yeah, this could be a little bit difficult for other students, if probably from other traditions. If somebody doesn't understand this, please tell me. I will explain it again.
Venerable Sir,
Yes.
can I share my contradicting idea on Potthapada Sutta? I know Potthapada Sutta from Bhikkhu Sujato and Maurice Walsh translation.
Right.
As I understood this sutta, it mentions 4 rupa jhana and 3 arupa jhana. And Buddha is talking to Potthapada. And basically, he explained it as a perception, sanya, and comparing each jhana to another level of another kind of perception. And as I understood, Buddha is saying jhana is not important because each jhana changes our perception, that certain perception sees, and another different kind of perception arise. And in the end, he's saying clinging to perception or jhana is not the good way. We have to let go of these things, and with this way, we can reach Nibbana.
Yeah. Now that is
So
true because now that is true because now jhanas. Now that is what happened to most of the Indian religious practitioners, because now actually these jhanas were not the Buddha's inventions. They were not Buddha's inventions. Already they had been well recognized by Indian ascetics, Sramanas. So actually what happened to Indian ascetics was that they were satisfied with these jhanas because the enormous pleasure, psychological and bodily pleasure that was generated by these jhanas, gave him a lot of satisfaction, because they did not know, they thought finally this is the end. Now if you look at the the discourse like what is called Ariya Pariyesana Sutta, the discourse of noble search. There it is very clear that Buddha Buddha visited 2 teachers under whom Buddha trained himself, and the kind of path they showed was this jhana path. This jhana path, the people Rama, Uddaka Rama Putta, and who is Alara Kalan. So these people were actually ascetics who were practicing these jhanas. So they were satisfied and they thought that was the liberation. But the Buddha knew that this was not the path, because that was a very temporary satisfaction. So that is why in the sutra they are explained as they should not be, they are, phenomena, things that you should not cling to. If you cling to them, you are not going to realize Nibbana. So now they are included in the Buddhist path because, yes, even Buddha is talking about, Buddha has shown the importance of them for realize some of the truth. In order to realize some of the truths, Buddha saw the significance of them, and they are, they are seen in the Buddhist text. But apart from that, that is not the Buddhist path. And there are some discourses actually. Now I have not explained that. In my opinion, Buddhist traditions, now I am not discussing that aspect because that is not the modern scholarship. There are some discourses which presents a very different form of experience in jhana. So in those jhanas, actually, it is very much likely that you don't need to transcend your ongoing experience. So you are fully experienced of what is happening around you. So you don't need to go to a sort of psychic state where you fully unaware of the outside world, what is happening around you. So these are, I think, they are now, apart from this asavakkaya, okay, apart from the asavakkaya, through panya, okay, through panya, through wisdom, all other knowledges, these higher knowledges and dhyanas, are actually had already been established by Indian ascetics during the time of the Buddha and even before that. But the possibility is there. I don't know whether, Venerable, you understood that.
Yes, great answer. Thank you, Venerable Sir. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Category 2. Now, I think today from this one you have to we have to stop the lesson. What you have to do is to read yourself and to read different versions of the sutras and to know what they are, the content of these different sutras. The category 2 is one is Bodhiraja Kumara Sutta. Buddha explains his own experience, and here the stages are given. And then we have another discourse called and again there are a few sutras, Bodhiraja Kumara Sutra, the Mahachattarisaka Sutra, and another one is the Arya Pariyesana Sutra. Again, you have a lengthy, some sort of medium size description about Buddha's own experience. Now, all these sutras actually talk about Buddha's own experience, how he realized Nibbana. So the stages are given here. You can check the sutras with these stages. It's very important. And the last one is Dvedha Vitakka Sutta. I am interested in talking a little bit about Dvedha Vitakka Sutta. This is Majjhima Nikaya 19. Here I think we see a very, very simple way of concentrating. It's very practical kind of method the Buddha describes. Now, what is practical is that the only thing he does is that he concentrates on his own thoughts. His own thoughts. So that is what the Dvedha, that is called Vitakka. Two types of thoughts. Dvedha, Vitakka. Things he thought in two directions. So that sutta seems to be a more simpler version of enlightenment. Probably this kind of simple version, simple method could have been probably the most reliable method. Probably even the Buddha was, Buddha during his quest was utilizing. Now, if you go to the sutra, now Dvedha Vitakka Sutta, it says, offers a distinctive account of the Buddha's path to enlightenment. Unlike other accounts, it omits item 1 to 7. You can check 1 to 7 of the standard scheme and immediately addresses the practice. The narrative begins with the Buddha considering the nature of his thoughts, which he separates into two groups, unwholesome and wholesome. Very simple, right? Unwholesome and wholesome. There is no other any miraculous things. Okay, any other superstitions, more more what we call mystical, any mystic experiences like jhana is absolutely, to some extent for us, is very mystic, because when we say jhana, we actually are not capable of realizing what it is. There is no way, because we don't have any. So it seems to be a little bit mystic for ordinary person. Well, without these kind of mystics, so Buddha start from this kama vitakka. So there, he divides his own thoughts into two, wholesome and unwholesome, and considering them. So the total endeavor is based on such a focus, such a concentration. Now I have the sutra. Yes, here we have this is Dvedha Vitakka Sutra. Oh no, sorry, not that one. Yeah. Okay, so this sutra yeah, so I don't know whether you can. Okay, so no, this is the Dveda Vitakka Sutra, and it's here. Thus I have heard on the occasion before my enlightenment, Buddha says, before my enlightenment, while I was still only an unenlightened Bodhisattva, it occurs to me, suppose that I divide my thoughts into two classes, right? Very, very pragmatic, very practical occurred to me. Suppose that I divide my thoughts into two classes. Then I set on one side thoughts of sensual desire, thoughts of ill will, okay, thoughts of ill will, and thoughts of cruelty. And I set on the other side thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of thoughts of non-ill, and thoughts of non-cruelty, like that. So, dividing thoughts, his own thoughts into two, he concentrated on them that way. As I abided thus, diligent, ardent, and resolute, a thought of sensual desire arose in me. Look at that. Now, one of the beautiful thing in here is that actually I like this sutra very much, because now look at this. Now this talks about a situation that Buddha was trying to, he was very committed to realizing the truth, isn't it so? Wasn't he? He was. He was very committed to realizing the truth. And it was a very honest attempt to realize the truth and to end, put an end to suffering. But he says that as I abided thus, diligent, ardent, and resolute. Now look at the words diligent, ardent, and resolute. A thought of sensual desire arose in me. That is very natural, right? He himself say that even at that moment, the sensual desire arose within me. So now what did he do? So this is possible. This is very much possible, because now he is dividing his thoughts into two categories, wholesome and unwholesome. And he was concentrating on those two categories. And then what happened was his mind became concentrated. And at that moment, a sensual desire arose me. I understood thus, this thought of sensual desire has arisen in me. This leads to my own affliction. That is not going to afflict, to create an affliction on me. To others, affliction, and to affliction of both. It obstructs wisdom, causes difficulties, and leads away from Nibbana. Now this is the way. Now we can very simply understand a very possible, more intelligible, more practical means of it, right? Rather than all other explanations. The Dvedha Vitakka Sutta seems to be a very intelligible and more practical as we understand. But what was actually Buddha? So we don't know, but probably, we don't know. We can't say that Now, what we can say is that this is the most practical method, way for someone committed to realizing truth can start from, right? And the sutra explains very neatly. When I considered this leads to my own affliction, is subside in me. When I consider this leads to affliction, it's leads to the affliction of both. It subsided in me. When I considered, thus obstructs wisdom, causes difficulties, and leads away from Nibbana. It subsided in me, whether a thought of sensual desire arose in me, I abandoned it, I removed it, did away with it. So he removed it. So this is what he did. So this is what the Buddha called Dvedha Vitakka Sutra. Dvedha Vitakka Sutra is a very unique sutra. Dvedha Vitakka Sutra is very unique because it is among many other sutras that deals with that starts from more right. It's a I mean, when it at the concentration level, especially at the concentration level, it is more practical and very intelligible. So therefore, actually, you can see that, I mean, that this is the method, but it doesn't mean that even this sutra, even the Dvedha Vitakka Sutra also explains, even that sutra also explains how he reached to jhana levels, because later on he could, concentrating on his own thoughts, he could reach the jhana levels. And jhanas, the necessity of jhana is highlighted there also. So when you say jhana, actually what we see is the higher level of jhanas, because normally the Buddha, now even though we generally know that the fourth jhana or third jhana is not essential, but still when it comes to Buddhist text, actually they have shown the full account, isn't it? So they have shown the full account, and it doesn't mean that all the jhanas are necessary. So this format of the sutras is very systematic. The format of the sutras is very systematic. So therefore, they have mentioned everything. But we know that according to many other sources, that was not necessary. It was not essential to reach to this jhana level always. So that is what we see. But anyway, now every sutra, each sutra, as we see that these three levels, the moral level, concentration level, and panya level are there. Moral level, concentration, and panya level are there. Some of the sutras do not have some of the descriptions. So the longest discussions, the longest versions we see in the Digha Nikaya, but when it comes to Majjhima Nikaya, we see a lot of variations. When it comes to Majjhima Nikaya, the moral part is very shorter. The moral section is very shorter, but most of the sutras retain other sections, other concentration level and the wisdom level. But there are also differences. Sometimes some of the sutras highlight form jhanas, some of the sutras highlight formless jhanas, so and so forth. But there are many other discourses from which we can understand that all these details are not necessary. All these details are not necessary. But what we are going to teach you is that the path of freedom in Buddhist taught in Buddhism in different sources is divergent. The path of liberation taught in many sources in the discourses of the Buddha are very divergent. The divergence I have given could be for many reasons. And if you look at my handout, show some of the reasons for this divergence. the scholars' view. Now, for example, scholars Rupert Getting say the diversity may be because, now I will tell you one example, one reason for the divergence. Rupert Getting says, the Rupert Getting comments, how we are to assess make the sense of this diversity is still a matter of debate. This is a debate, why these different paths. The tendency among the modern scholars has been to regard it as reflecting the disagreement, even confusion of the earliest generation of the Buddha's disciples concerning the nature of the Buddhist path and its goal. So there was a disagreement after the demise of the Buddha. So that is why many paths are shown. We don't know. So that is one possibility. And Bhikkhu Analeo says, Bhikkhu Analeo illustrates that the diverse path structures, the complementary and contextual. I think that is a very good answer. Complementary and contextual. Sometimes, no, it could be one or the other way, right? If you are enlightened according to your wish or according to your cognitive capacity, you can follow one or the other way. Complementary and contextual according to the context. They are pedagogical options instead of contradiction. He points out that the Nikaya present a plurality of formulations adapted to the needs and the capacity of the different practitioners. I think that is the way. I think Bhikkhu Analeo's statement is very intelligible and most possible. Okay, I think that's enough. So please go to, like that Venerable mentioned, please go to the sutra and try to understand these sutras. Try to understand these long sutras, one of the long sutras like Samanyapala Sutra, and then try to understand the content of the one of the shorter sutras, maybe Ariya Pariyasana Sutra. Okay, thank you very much. See you next week.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.